6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Lal Mallavarachi and read by J. Yogaraj. First headlines. The President says that the government's efforts over the past 9 months to revive Sri Lanka's economy. The central bank governor optimistic on banks will reduce lending rates after policy rate cut. Special transport services have been arranged for Poson Festival from today. Minister of Power and Energy assures no fuel shortage. Three-wheeler fares reduced. News overseas, Russia blames Ukraine for shelling inside border. In sports, the first ODI between Sri Lanka and Afghanistan begins in Hambantota today. And those are the headlines. President Ranil Wickremesinghe delivering a special statement yesterday addressing the government's efforts over the past 9 months to revive Sri Lanka's economy, said the country's economy is gradually recovering from the crisis thanks to correct policies including the collective efforts of the people. In his special address, the President also said the country is gradually coming out of difficult times due to precise economic dissections taken in the recent past. Sri Lanka has gained progress. The President expressed his gratitude to the citizens for showing during the difficult time. In order to achieve a steady and sustainable development, an innovative approach is vital. Some elements engaged in conventional politics are trying to stop economic progression. Such elements are attempting to spread unnecessary fear psychosis in the society, and they try to hide behind infamous slogan of country is to be sold. People have to be mindful of such deceiving elements. The President further noted in future there will be more challenges. Such challenges must also be overcome. Some people have forgotten difficulties country faced during the last 2 years. Sri Lanka joined in hands with international agencies such as IMF and World Bank to overcome difficulties. Neighboring countries also extended their hand of goodwill. New tax policy has contributed an additional revenue of 210 billion rupees to the country. The whole island is benefited these commitments and during the difficult time. Outlining the government's efforts to revive the country's economy, President Wickremesinghe said these economic reforms will lead to a decrease in cost of living, improved standards of living, a relief for the poor, and a culture of transparency. The licensed commercial banks are expected to bring down the lending rate for businesses now that the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has relaxed its monetary policy stance, CBSL Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe says. Addressing the special press briefing held in Colombo yesterday to announce the CBSL's monetary policy review, Dr. Veerasinghe said the inflation is now coming towards the target range much earlier than expected. Supported by the currency appreciation, the adjustment in the fuel and petroleum prices and global prices. The central bank yesterday cut the interest rate for the first time in nearly 3 years, lowering the standing lending facility rate and standing deposit facility rate to 14% and 13% respectively. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. A special transport plan for the Poson Festival will be implemented under the supervision of the Transport, Highways and Mass Media Minister, Dr. Mandura Gunawardena. Accordingly, Minister Gunawardena had advised the officials of the Sri Lanka Transport Board to prepare a special transport plan for the pilgrims visiting Mihinthalaya, Anuradhapura and Tantirimale on Poson Poya Day, which is of special national, religious and cultural significance in Sri Lanka. It has been decided to provide transportation facilities to the devotees by deploying 502 SLTB buses during the discussions held yesterday under the chairmanship of SLTB Chairman Lalit D. Alves. Accordingly, 85 buses from Anuradhapura Depot, 125 buses from Polonnaruwa Depot, 45 buses from Horopatana Depot, 35 buses from Kakirawa Depot, 32 buses from Kebitigollawa Depot, 50 buses from Dambulla Depot will be deployed for the convenience of the devotees of Rajarat area. Meanwhile, the Railway Department says the that around 12 special train journeys will be operating from today to 5th of this month for Poson Festival. These special train services will be operational from 1 p.m. today. Accordingly, a special train will run from Colombo Fort to Anuradhapura today at 1 p.m. The department says that a special train will run to Anuradhapura at 4:40 p.m. and a special train from Galle at 8:15 p.m. On Poya Day, a special train from Colombo Fort at 7:05 a.m. and from Beliata station at 7:30 a.m. will be operated. Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara requested the public not to panic over any fuel shortages as Sri Lankan Petroleum Corporation and Lanka IOC have adequate stocks of fuel. In a tweet, he noted that any prevailing shortages are due to a non-placement of orders by respective fuel station owners anticipating a fuel price reduction. The minister emphasized that the dealers have been required to maintain a minimum stock of 50% and that he has instructed the CPC to review this and suspend the license of fuel stations that had not maintained that minimum stock. Several three-wheeler associations have decided to reduce three-wheeler fares after considering the government's decision to reduce the price of petrol and increase in the fuel quota. And they said the minimum fare for the first kilometer will be reduced to rupees 100 from 120, and while the second kilometer will be reduced to 80 rupees from 100 rupees. The government had increased the weekly fuel quota provided to vehicles under the QR system, and the price of 92-octane petrol was also reduced by 15 rupees with effect from Wednesday night. And that's local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
State Minister of Defence Pramita Bandara Tenakon says the Sri Lanka Army plans to manufacture live ammunition for light weapons in the future in hopes of retaining the outflow of forex in the country. Currently, uniform materials, body armors and combat helmets are being produced for troops in the Army-owned manufacturing facilities in Veyangoda. The government hopes to develop this facility going forward, and in future we hope to produce ammunition and we need for our light weapons and we use in the army in this facility. Minister Tenakon said light weapons in the army include the Type 56 T56 assault rifle, 9mm pistol and lightweight machine gun. And that came to you in Top News.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And moving on to Watchlight. The Sri Lankan government has made it mandatory to test important dry fish, sprats and fruits for heavy metals such as lead and arsenic with immediate effect. The decision was taken after a survey conducted by the Food Control Administration Unit of the Health Ministry between 2021 to 2022 discovered that certain consignments of imported dried fish, sprats and fruits contained heavy metals, especially lead and arsenic, in large quantities. According to the survey, some imported fruit stocks contain alarming levels of lead and extremely toxic heavy metal. And that came to you in Watchlight. And in world news headlines, Russia blames Ukraine for shelling inside border, new US-Taiwan trade deal as China tensions rise, and US actor Danny Masterson found guilty on 2 rape counts. And those are the headlines of the world news. And we move on to the stories in detail. The Russian region of Belgorod has again come under attack from across the Ukrainian border, with at least 8 people reportedly hurt in shelling. Russia's defense ministry has also claimed it thwarted other attempts by Ukraine to invade the region. Kyiv has not commented on the allegations but has denied involvement in previous attacks across the border. The US and Taiwan signed a new trade deal on Thursday as tensions with China rise. It is the first agreement under a framework for talks between Washington and Taipei called the US-Taiwan Initiative on 21st Century Trade. The announcement comes ahead of a high-level global security summit in Singapore this weekend. In recent years, the relationship between US and China has become increasingly strained. A jury in Los Angeles has found U.S. actor Danny Masterson guilty on 2 out of 3 counts of rape. The star of that 70s show, a TV series, faces up to 30 years in prison. He was led from court in handcuffs. 3 women, all former members of the Church of Scientology, accused the actor of sexual assault at his Hollywood home from 2001 to 2003. Prosecutors argued Masterson had relied on his status as a prominent Scientologist to avoid accountability. And that's world news.
Development news.
Sri Lanka will start 2 floating solar plants as pilot projects with an 8.63 billion grant from Korea. Cabinet spokesman Minister Bandara Guruvardhan said the floating solar power plants will be built in Chandrika Weber in the Ratnapura district and Kiri Ippan Weber in the Monoragala district. Each plant will have a capacity of 1 megawatts. And that was development news. In sports, the 3-match ODI series between Sri Lanka and Afghanistan begins in Hambantota today. Leg spinner Dushan Hemantha and sling-armed fast bowler Matisha Patirana are in line for the one-day international debuts in the first match today. Sri Lanka will be without their main bowling weapon Wanidu Asaranga, who has been ruled out of the first 2 ODIs in the 3-match series, which opens the door of Hemantha to make his international cricket debut. Hemantha impressed in the recent National Super League limited over matches at taking 13 wickets in 8 innings. The third leading wicket taker in the tournament put him on the radar for the national team. He also averaged 24.21 with the bat. List A cricket, potentially providing the all-round skills that Asaranga brings to the team. And that was sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Sri Lanka's bonds ended low yesterday, dealers said, after the central bank cut in the main policy rate by the 250 basis points. The spot US dollar closed at 292 rupees and 50 cents rupees after opening at 290 and 291 rupees in the range to the US dollar, dealers said. The rupee closed at 290 rupees and 25 cents to the US dollar Wednesday. So moving on to economic news, the consumer prices measured by the Colombo Consumer Price Index fell sharply in May, the second consecutive month. Such prices cooled by an outsized amount since the current disinflation path began in October last year. The consumer prices rose by 25.2% in the 12 months through May, down from 35.3% through April, reflecting a faster decline in the inflation print in the last couple of months. And that was economic news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Weather report. The Met Department says showers or thundershowers will occur at times in western, sub-Brahma and southern provinces. Fairly heavy showers, about 75 millimeters, are likely at some places in Ratnapura, Kool, Mathura and Kalathura districts. Several spells of showers will occur in northwestern provinces. Showers or thundershowers will occur in central, Uva and eastern provinces during the evening or night. And strong winds, about 40 to 45 kilometers per hour, can be expected at times over the island. And that was the weather report. To wind up this news broadcast, let's look at the main points once again. The President says the government's efforts over the past 9 months to revive Sri Lanka's economy. The central bank governor optimistic on banks will reduce lending rates after policy rate cut. Special transport services have been arranged for Poson Festival from today. Minister of Power and Energy assures no fuel shortage. 3-wheeler fares reduced. And with that, we conclude this news podcast of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.